And now to sports business. NBC Universal paid nearly $4.4 billion for the rights to broadcast the 2014, 2016, 2018, and 2020 Olympics. The Games are usually the highest rated events of the year. Yet NBC lost money on the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver and expects to lose more on the 2012 London Olympics. So, given all that, did NBC overpay for the rights? Let's bring in the man we love to talk to about the media business, Brad Adgate. He's the Senior Vice President at Horizon Media. Welcome back to InBusiness, Brad.
Hey, thanks, Margaret.
Did NBC overpay?
Well, I don't think so. I think that there's a lot of upside to this. What's interesting is what they're paying for the next two Olympiads in 2014 and 2016 is virtually identical to what they paid in the 2010-2012 games. So, they're pretty much pricing is stagnant. And the other thing that really hurt them, particularly in Vancouver, was the ad marketplace was very sluggish. General Motors wasn't involved. The financial product category took a huge hit. So a lot of it was a very depressed ad marketplace. So it's very kind of hard to gauge where this is going to be going ahead, as much as it's hard to gauge how consumers are going to be watching the Olympics over the next 9 years. But I think I think they made a pretty smart move.
And Fox was a pretty big contender up to what sounds like the 11th hour in these negotiations. The fact that Dick Ebersol left NBC surprised people then, and surprised that the deal actually got closed without him at the table.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I mean, one of the things when Comcast took over NBC in January was what are they going to do with the Olympics? How are they going to take this seriously? Are they going to bid on it? And clearly, they put a line in the sand that says, yeah, we know this is important to NBC. They've carried every Olympics, this century, and so this is a part of the DNA of the network. So they made a pretty, a pretty big stance in saying that this is an important part of what NBC is about.
All right. Well, since 2000, no one else has had it, right? But the thing, and you make the point of now we're not just talking about NBC, we're talking about NBC Comcast. They've got all these different channels now to broadcast the show out through. People right off the bat criticize NBC for having tape delay out of Beijing. This time around, you can see it live on one of their operations, right? Oh, yeah.
Mark Lazarus, who has replaced Dick Ebersol, says you're going to be able to watch all these events live at any time. But two things that really drive angst with viewers is, they spend a lot of time, up close and personal, going into the lives of these athletes. I think they're still going to continue that. And there'll still be a package.
Tremendous amount of money spent just producing all of that.
Yeah, and they just don't do American athletes either. They look at it from a global perspective. And that goes back to, again, Roone Arledge, up close and personal with ABC Sports. And again, they're still going to do probably a package at night with all the highlights.
But air it on something called Versus?
Well, Versus is a Comcast-owned cable network. It's, they pretty much have National Hockey League. They just actually re-upped with the NHL for $2 billion over the next 10 seasons, along with NBC. And they have the Tour de France. And again, this gives them a little boost, a little leverage in with cable operators and getting more subscription fees, getting a spike in their ratings.
They're going to try to make it NBC's version of ABC's ESPN.
Exactly. Yeah. Where now it's become where ABC Sports is non-existent. It's ESPN on ABC, right. And you can make perhaps that's one of the strategies. And again, it goes back to rights fees. ESPN gets over $4 a month per subscriber. Versus gets about 30 cents. So again, this is a way to elevate that. And golf is another Comcast-owned network. Golf is going to return to the Olympics in 2016, and certainly we'll see some perhaps Tiger Woods and Ernie Els in the Olympics.
But as you say, ratings don't necessarily translate into profits.
No, not necessarily so. But again, I think part of it was the rights fees that NBC paid. They were like $700 million more for these past two Olympics than the competitors. And this year, you got to think the ad marketplace is going to be a little bit stronger going forward. The Olympics is a great brand. I mean, an increasingly crowded and niche media landscape. The Olympics mean something to viewers. And so advertisers love it. It's family viewing, and women watch it. It's one of the few sporting events where more women watch the Olympics than men. So there are a lot of advertisers and product categories who target this, like Procter & Gamble.
All right, Brad, we'll see. It sounds like you say, bottom line is you don't think they really overpaid, right?
No, but nightly news, Today Show gets spike in ratings. Yeah. It's a huge, it elevates everything.
Thank you very much, Brad Adgate.